Hi and welcome to this show. We're going to talk about why is it so important to organize and campaign during our elections. So, who are you?
My name's Daraka. I'm an old friend of Matthias's and also a political consultant and strategist, and I'm working for Stockholm Aqua. On this election campaign, but also to just help build the party and use some new techniques that we can combine with traditional ones to revitalize the party and strengthen it from the grassroots up.
So why is it important for you to be in the Swedish election campaigns?
Well, I mean, I'm a social democrat. Personally, that's where my politics are, and also have a long history in this movement. Matthias and I met like 400 years ago as young activists in SSU and working on elections and building the organization. So I love this party. I care about it. I want it to be successful. But I think more broadly, just as a progressive in the world, I think it's really important to defend and deepen social democracy in the Nordic countries where it's more advanced, so that there's examples of different ways to organize the economy out there in the world. If we lose the things that are great about the Swedish model, then we lose them from the earth. I think that's bad for the left all over the world.
A lot of the viewers are social democrats in Södermalm or in Stockholm. What can you tell them today? Why is it important to be better on door knocking and this organizing campaign activities that you are so deeply involved in?
Yeah, well, I think the first reason is that we have an election to win, and all of the science tells us that good conversations between peers, between regular people, is an incredibly effective way to get people to vote. And especially people that are deciding between similar parties or deciding whether to vote at all, that having that real conversation, that real connection with someone they can relate to is incredibly effective. It works. It works better than an ad on the subway or something you see on Facebook. And then I think the second reason is that as a people's movement, we want folks to think about us not as just a bunch of elites or people they see on TV. We want to make a connection between citizens and their government, and that means seeing us as a movement that people can join and be part of. And everyone who's listening is an important ambassador between the party and the folks we represent and our constituents, every bit as important as any of our leaders or candidates or politicians. So it humanizes the party. It's going to build a better connection between citizens and the party, and it works to turn out the vote.
Is there a better or worse campaign method, you think?
Well, I think the worst campaign method is one in which you don't talk to voters and you sit at all, and you sit and look at polling data and decide on a message and then just like fart it out into the world. That's like the worst. And I think the best campaign is one in which you're using every channel and every method to touch people, to reach them, all at the same time, so that voters are getting a message, on social media, through the mail, on billboards and posters, but also people, their neighbors coming and knocking on the door and talking to them. That reinforces a message, like most voters aren't big political nerds like you and I who just like absorb politics all day. They only have a few minutes, maybe a day or a week to really think about politics. So being able to hit them with a message more than once is really important. And I think the other thing that's like a best practice, right, is to have a campaign that's decentralized and builds new leaders in the party. One of the things that I'm always on about is that I think we have too many meetings in this party. Too many meetings, okay. And meetings about meetings, and meetings where we're talking about another meeting we're going to have. Okay. And I think I always ask people to close their eyes and try to calculate how many human hours are spent in the social democratic movement.
But
in meetings.
As long as you have good cinnamon rolls and coffee.
Okay, so fika is great, but you don't have to have a meeting to have fika. Okay, but the point is, we spend an inordinate amount of time in meetings in this movement and not nearly enough time out talking with people, listening to them, learning from them, engaging them.
And we have about 190 days ahead of us. And we have to raise the awareness in the society. I know for many people it's, you know, our heads, it's with the Ukrainian people, it's in the war, but we have also to have focus on the elections. The date is coming closer to us. So what do you think, what is the next step? What can you do watching our talk from home in front of the computer? What do you say to all Södersosar and for sure becoming members watching this channel? What do you say to them?
So, you know, I'd say to, you know, stay attentive, stay tuned for the next opportunity, which should be coming up very soon, to come and start getting engaged in the work of the campaign. The first step, I think, is going to be to reach out to all of our members, to activate them and encourage them to come in and join the campaign, ask them what kinds of things they're interested in doing to participate in the campaign. And calling all of our members takes work. So, you know, if you've got some time and you can get in contact with the Krets leadership, our ombudsman, Matthias, and say, hey, I'd like to help contact and mobilize members, that would be great. But I think the most important thing is to start planning your next several months with an expectation that you're going to put in a few hours a week to go out and contact voters and talk with people. We're going to do everything we can to make that a fun experience, you know, an uplifting experience, and an effective one where you really feel like you're making a difference by talking to voters. That's what we're trying to do on the back end of organizing the campaign. But what we need more than anything else is just for people to make the sacrifice. And I understand it is a sacrifice to set aside time to be on the phones or out on doors talking to voters about the importance of this election.
Okej, så tack till alla er som har tittat, och vi har ungefär 200 dagar, 190 dagar på oss. Vi ska knacka varje dörr, dörr för dörr, se till så att vi motar den här högerkonservativa kraften som knackar på dörren här nu och vill ta över makten i Sverige. Vi behöver en socialdemokratisk regering, vi behöver 4 nya år för jämlikhet, mota segregationen, vända på varje sten, möta klimatförändringarna genom ett offensivt omställningsprogram så att vi kommer i arbete och vi ser till så att vi möter klimatutmaningen tillsammans, en rättvis omställning, och vi ska se till så att vi tar tillbaka kontrollen i välfärden, eller hur? Så att vi har världens bästa välfärd som ger oss trygghet, särskilt i otrygga, när omvärlden är så otrygg. Så med det, stort tack för att ni har lyssnat, och vi ses i valkampanjen. Ja, och som Daraka sa, hör av er om ni vill organisera en dörrknackning, så hjälps vi åt, eller hur? Ja, okej. Bye.